Guess you didn't sleep much. I had insomnia last night, so I would appreciate everyone's patience with me as my eyes slowly droop into a downward spiral. And who has got the best Australian accent? That's actually not a bad idea. Who's who's gonna who's gonna attempt an Australian accent in front of the Australian? Everyone's
Right.
shh. You're gonna try it?
At best, I do a very bad New
Give me
Zealand
that
accent.
one.
A bad New Zealand accent. I gotta hear this
I'll
now.
throw out a g'day, mate.
That's not so bad. I've heard worse.
I mean, for 2 words.
Good on, mate. Hi, Brad. First stream in the new house. That's exciting. Hello, Brush Kid. If Katie doesn't answer, we're at our kids' soccer game. How's that multitasking? Where's applause from the Discord? Golf clap. Golf clap. There it is. Well done. We got a hype train happening at the moment. Robin, thank you so much for 22 months in a row. I see you. Thank you for that. KP Dubs, 37 months. Where are you? Oh, we've got no video. Are you multitasking also? Oh, he's eating. What are you eating? We don't get to know. We don't get to know. We don't get to know. But he's eating. Vaden, 42 months. 42 being the answer to everything. I'm sure I've got the book. Where is it? Oh, it's in there somewhere. If I keep turning around, I'm going to fall asleep. So, whatever. Zelda barks with an Australian accent. Back. Zelda's passed out on her bed. That's one of her bodies. This is the new Zelda cam that we have. It's just a blob. It looks like she's being eaten slowly by a vortex of fake fur kind of thing. Jimmy, you've got a good emo fringe happening? What's going on there, my dude? Did someone cut your life into pieces? Is this your last resort?
I've just been into Pierce the Veil lately, you know?
Who's that?
I've been watching a lot of My Hero Academia.
Who are you? Who is this that you're inspired by?
Oh, well, I was just making a joke because you know
Oh,
the guy with
PTV.
the red and the white hair. He always does this, so I thought it was.
Oh,
funny.
he does have one eye covered. That's Todoroki that you're talking about.
I'm
by the
gonna
way.
totally defeat you and prove you wrong against my father.
There it is.
I've got father issues.
What's Pierce the Veil? How does everyone know that? What is Pierce the Veil?
Pierce the Veil has a lot of popular songs called "King for the Day" and "Something in the Bronx" and "Bestios." So many songs.
Well, Tass and Lisa are fans.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you've heard the songs before because
Probably.
these go back like 2010.
Maybe it didn't
And
make it to Australia.
There's also a girl that dances to them on TikTok. Plenty
That's
of
a lot
them
of
that do.
information that I've now got on that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I got a thumbs up for that one. KB Dubs, thanks for the bits. 5x5 vibe. Thank you for resubbing using your Prime for 6 months. Happy half year. Ew, why did I say that so weird? Happy half year. Thanks to Terry. 35 months. I'm looking at you. Thank you. He waved. Yay. Happy half year. The phonetic spelling was on point. We're not talking about Pierce the Veil. We're talking about Pierce the Brown today. Dark Age, Book 5 of the Red Rising series. We are really climbing through this series together, and I'm glad I have a community of people to turn to while my heart gets shattered. We knew this was not going to be gentle, and yet we persisted. Katie's saying, I'm not liking this one as much as the others. It's a 3.5 at the moment, to which Catch says, oof. Nick says, this book has been rough. We're only halfway through. Will pass 6 out of 5. K Frito's like, it felt like a punch, this book. Lisa says, look, I had to pause reading after chapter 31 last night. Where were you when you were reading or listening to chapter 31? I was pacing around my kitchen, like just at my wit's end. I did not like what was happening. And I think we'll get into it, but I think there are times when, first person, when it's present tense, that's what I'm looking for. Present tense. So she's talking about it as it's happening. It's not like reflecting back on something. It's like as it's happening. And I think that present tense during that was horrible. Will Poss says chapter 31 is one of the most insane chapters ever written. And that is what I was expecting with Poppy War, and I didn't get it. Okay, so when we had a trigger warning, you were like, I survived chapter 31. Like, what else? It starts, you can see it. It's like, honestly, I want this to be brought to the screen so badly, because this is what will like dethrone the Red Wedding, I think. Like this sort of moment where there are slight hints leading up to it, and then you can just see like dancers clearing his throat, clearing his throat a little bit, and then starts coughing up blood, and then people drop one by one, and then there's just, where are you going? You sit your butt back down, Missy. What are you doing? Get on your bed. What is this? On your bed. Thank you. Oh, I love that you got 2 views of Zelda now. The best. Oh, cool. You can see her licking her butthole. Yay. Zelda, can you look up at the camera? Now, look, come on. What do you
She's
have to
actually
say
doing
for
it.
yourself? Yeah, I know, because I
Isn't
was
that
like,
against Twitch's TOS?
I'm so getting banned because of this dog. Yeah, you should be ashamed of your cleaning habits live on camera. Maybe we should get a dog cam. Okay, well, Zelda's so great. Zelda's got a clean butthole. KP Dubs 3.5 out of 5. So usually when we start a book, we would like to have a little bit of a weigh-in. What are you thinking of it? First impressions. KP Dubs says every part of the plan went wrong theme has happened about 35 times in the series. And so far, and honestly, it's getting old. Yeah, but I mean, because the bar is set for that, I think it would be different if he doesn't do it. I think this book would feel lacking. It's almost like he keeps setting the bar so high that he has to clear it every time. Darren is still the Darrow hater. Darren saying that Darrow is still the weakest chapter point of view. I have thoughts about that because I think that Darrow the man is only as great as the people surrounded by him. And when you start stripping those people away one by one, it's too hard. Clever Girl says, I'm too traumatized to give a rating yet. Did you make it to 45? You haven't made it.
I think you're exactly right about that, Maude. I think that's honestly a central theme of Darrow's character is that he does his best when he's with the pack.
And that's where he shone in Red Rising. Like that's when he realized that he had to infiltrate the Golds as a Red. And alliances were so important, and building trust and loyalty. And you see that unwavering loyalty start to waver. And with some, not all. And it's interesting that Sevro's chinks in his armor are his family because that was never a thing before. He had nothing else to lose. He didn't even like his father half the time. And his father was the leader of the resistance, the uprising. So I just thought that was interesting. Oh, Vaden's coming in hot, and I agree with you, Vaden. Vaden's like, Lyria's chapter, not even plural, singular chapter was the weaker part. I feel like Lyria is because she seems to have nothing interesting about her. KP Dubs, you were the only person who wrote in Fable over Lyria's chapter, and you seemed quite gung-ho. You were like, yeah, Lyria, you're not a victim. You are a big part of this. Darren says, we just haven't gotten any Lyria yet. I found all the other points of view more interesting
she'll
in
grow on
terms
you.
of events. Okay.
She's got a lot of stuff coming up. I think you guys will like her more.
Okay. Without spoiling.
Spoilers,
Katie Brush. Katie Brush says, I like all Ephraim's chapters at the moment. Ephraim has provided some comedic relief after some horrific events which we'll get into as well. KP says, I expect much from Lyria. I like Ephraim as well. Carly Loves to Read says, I've been kind of bored with Lyria and Lysander's chapters. Lysander is totally going through a Isan ala Gib kind of moment. He's in a desert trying to find his supporters, and there's been a bit of a betrayal. And Soviet Falco says, hey, thank you, Catch22, for the gifted sub. I wonder if that was 14 days ago when you dropped a bunch. Yeah, we're both on the same page with that one. I just scrolled back 14 days ago and it's like, Catch22, Disco Cobra, Catch22. This page is Disco Cobra. Fun times. That was the first time I hit the sub goal last month, so that was quite lovely. Yay, go team, it's a group effort. But it's also a war. All we have at the moment are bit leaders. KP Dubs is in first place for bits, and Vaden's in second place for bits. I don't think we have sub winner yet. I don't think anyone, is there a sub goal? Or is it just bits? That's just bits. Interesting. Colleen says, I kept thinking that under other circumstances, Lysander and Darrow would have been friends. Oh, there's some parallels between these two characters. I sort of love two sides of the coin relationships. They're just at different parts of their life, but Darrow could relate to Lysander, I feel, the most. Interesting stuff. That's exactly right, K. Frito. No one has gifted a sub yet this month. And this is my first stream of the month, I think. We had a little bit of time off so that we could get through the first slog of this book. Not a thin book, this one. It's an 800-pager, I believe. Nearly 800 pages. And the half the book was a book in itself, really. Whoa, toaster poster! Ooh, we got a VIP. Hold on, we need to get you. I sometimes have to manually load it. Oh, and it's been too long. I forget how to do it. I will be able to. I got to pull up the Twitch. One moment. This is important. We need a ding ding. Do we have an air horn? Can we get an air horn up in this bitch? Yay! Camille says, welcome, Goodman. You need to get your own VIP diamond. That happens. I feel like if I... Boom. All right, yeah. Why does that sound so sinister? It's becoming a VIP. That we need the roll out the band, not like, oh, what have you done? You know. I need to figure out how to do this. I remembered because, oh my gosh, can someone tell me what they give the book out of 5 so far? Who's got like a 90-second dialogue ready to go? Who's just gonna do that? While I absolutely promise I will barely listen to your answer because I'm doing something else at the same time. Who would like to do that? Anyone?
Sure, I could do it.
There we go. Thank you.
All right, so I got so far I'm giving it about a 4 out of 5. I'm enjoying the book overall. It still has all the hallmarks of Pierce Brosnan's normal writing, like super high drama, really great characters, some strange nonsensical plot stuff, but really enjoyed it overall. I'm really sad at Tongueless dying because I felt like he could have been an interesting character and he just kind of disintegrated in the prologue and then that was it.
He sure did.
Yeah, and then there's nothing interesting happened with him. He's like, oh, he had a character that could have happened, and it's like, no, he's just gone. And
this is why I feel like the hat sort of process can kind of cheapen moments a little bit, where it's like someone has to die, and it's like, well, did he get his whole story at all? Like, what was his big moment? What was his arc? You know, he was kind of there. He had good qualities, but then it was like, oh, and it was in the prologue too. It's like straight out the gate. You're like, goodness.
Do you want to know what it was going to be? Because Pierce actually answered that in an interview once.
You go
Pretty
on.
sure he's supposed to be a Ragnar replacement.
He was originally going to have been a former leader of the Syndicate.
Oh!
And was overthrown and put in Deep Grave.
See, that would have been really cool.
That would
But
have been
unfortunately, we got
fucking
nothing.
awesome. His arc in the last book.
Yeah, I didn't like Pierce's like hat trick thing because like that and Pax and I guess whatever amount of times he does it, it feels so forced, like the death and at least
It
Pax
just
was like
feels
consequence.
abrupt.
It was abrupt to it, and like with Pax's stuff, at least there was a consequence like or something interesting happened afterwards. And his kid names his kid, he names that ship after him. Tungla seems like nothing; he's just gone, and then there's nothing interesting consequence will happen after that. Like
Darren
supposedly.
says, "Oh, sorry." Darren says we've got so many arcs. I can see why it got cut. What were you going to say, Vaden?
Oh, just that like they didn't feel like there's any real good reason for him dying. Supposedly he was dying to make Ajax look good, but it didn't really do that. I guess Tangles wasn't some kind of like fighter that we knew that was like some kind of super fighter. We're like, oh, Ajax killed him. That's impressive. He just killed a guy that we knew that we liked. That's it.
Someone had to die.
Maybe it's just because like there's no reason for deaths in war, so that's why he just died like that.
That's what we were saying about Seraphina in the Fable discussions, where it's like Seraphina was just like kind of really hungry for war, and then it's like, boop, you're done. And even Lysander goes, if she'd only just taken a step to the left, she'd be alive. So it's like that kind of could have been avoided. Yeah. Ropanda, thank you so much for 27 months on a 25-month streak. That is very wonderful. Hope your day's going lovely. Avery says, I'm also struggling to figure out what all of this is reaching towards. Like, all the terrible stuff in the original trilogy was reaching towards something, so it felt worth it. But these ones just feel like death and destruction for the sake of death and destruction. I feel like in the last book, the goal was the Ash Lord. And Darrow was convinced that if they found the Ash Lord and cut off the snake's head, the rest would fall. And it turns out that that was not the case at all. And so I think because there's instability, maybe City, you can help me with this because my brain is mush. The instability for the Republic at the moment with Sephi pulling out the Obsidians from the war completely. Mercury needed to be sort of rescued and there were many lives at stake. He's found out his kid has been kidnapped, but he's like, my responsibility lies with my people. So he's kind of sabotaged things back home. Well, now that there's no Republic even, like it won't matter. And like he got absolved of his crimes in a way because of the war. But everything is like in such a disarray that the Atalantia is now the new Ash Lord. And so it's like just this chain of command that he's trying to wipe out because war will happen no matter what. And so he just has to finish it basically. But the Gold Coast nope.
So that was kind of what his idea was with going after the Ash Lord was, I'm gonna end the war because this is the last real leader that they have, except he was completely wrong about that. So the way I like to think about it is that Iron Gold was the fuck around book for Darrow, where he's making all these mistakes, and Dark Age is the find out part, where now for all the mistakes that the Republic was making and Darrow was making and everybody was making, now they're suffering for it.
Yeah. Okay, this is the consequences of actions. And I feel like that's the premise of this book, absolutely. The finding out. Will Poss says, Darrow's goal was simply to try to save the city and to save his people. His role right now is to stay alive rather than having another objective. Colleen says, I think Darrow left all of that responsibility on Virginia to pick up the pieces and to get the support of the Republic towards this war, this fight that Darrow's fighting. And it's interesting, like what they consider. Wow, KP Dubs. That's another one. You just gifted us up to Kylie Loves to Read. That was very sweet. Kylie Loves to Read. Welcome to the community. You now have access to emotes. And people are dropping books as a celebration. We love the books. We love the books around Catch Me Too. I can like see it live time. He'll do this thing where he's like, oops. Oops. Finger slipped. You're not going to get a call from your bank, are you? Okay, cool. Well, Ro Panda's coming in hot too. Okay. Ro Panda's just gifted 10 subs. I'm going to read out some names, and this is going to be painful for everyone, so bear with me. Ro Panda has gifted subs. What is happening? Oh, you're going to show each one. That's fun. This is going to last a while, so again, bear with me. Ifirma Androfofo. Yossi Yee! Angels wear black. Santa's huge bag. You have unlimited choices. And that's what you went with. 0xTF. TF? TF? What letter of the alphabet is TF? TH. Oh, she's losing it. Jello Riley, Fatal HCS, Dijo CMM, Catan TW. And now it's Catch 22's gifted subs. Sodom Slow, Geeky Heart, Hanniganet, Chester, M Bleak. No, I'm gonna lose it. King Lewis, whatever. Tiny Fish. I'm not reading out numbers and I'm not reading out letters anymore. They're too hard and my head hurts. Tiny Fish, Unique Technique, Ganav. No, that is no way. There's just no way because every part of Markov is the only thing I can get in there. Dresmol, Alutrel, Necropath 4. Nope, no numbers. Mate. Everyone's got numbers. Brody MK, Yogono Yunku. D-Maz. Nope, that's just letters and numbers. Ugly Manga? Ugly Manga. Sure. That sounds like a Spectrum password. It's like two random words put together. Olunk, I'm still going. Saberwolf, Benja. You all got gifted a sub thanks to Catch 22. If you got gifted a sub, oh my god, more. KP Dubs. KP Dubs, big fan of the break room. It's always catching those shows on Monday at 3 p.m. if you haven't yet. They're live, Break Room NR. Give it a follow. Give it a get notifications for when I do my shows on Monday. He's just gifted us. He's just gifted. I said I wouldn't say it. KB Dubs, can you say
lost it.
Can you say it? You gifted a sub.
Fiddled Fun Hole.
There it is. There it is. You won't catch me saying that on a camera being streamed, but there you go. They are now a sub to this channel. Fantastic. Oh, man. Let's talk about some gnarly shit, shall we? The good thing about Dark Age is that we have chapters through different perspectives of characters. Darrow, Lysander, Virginia, Ephraim, and one with Lyria at the moment. I will be going through the discussion in terms of each of these characters. We're going to be starting with Darrow and Lysander because honestly, the first quarter of the book is back and forth between those two characters and how the war is faring for both of them. We kick things off with Darrow, who has just had his best friend bail on him, kind of question his ethics and reasoning in this war as well. And I tell you what, Darrow absolutely feels stripped back and naked without his howlers, without Sevro, without his anchor. You understand the roles that Sevro played, sometimes even off the pages. I really love the mentions of it would be Sevro who would visit those who were wounded. It would be Sevro who would carry a lot of the, why are you giggling? Jimmy, what's funny? Is everyone wearing fake glasses?
These aren't fake glasses. These are my actual reading glasses. I don't know what you're talking about.
They're real.
Yeah, they're real. See?
KB Dubs, you've got glasses too?
I just wanted to.
Just reading glasses.
Copying people.
Just reading glasses.
All right, no, if we're doing glasses, we're doing glasses. This is cool. Man, very dirty. I just looked up and two people just randomly started wearing glasses that I thought it was a new Discord. Are we all wearing glasses? Oh my gosh, chat.
The Thread app on my phone is so small. I have to have reading glasses or I can't see the damn thing.
Have we all got glasses on now? We've all got glasses.
As a trend.
Jimmy, can you put them on? I want to do a screenshot.
Okay.
Look at my little nerdy community here.
The irony is I actually have 20/20 vision.
I thought it was 2022. 22. Catch 22. Screenshot ready? No, that's not it. I'm messing up. You're doing great. I'm doing shit. Yay, got it. I'll post it in the community. Hey, if you want to join the Discord, you should do so. If you want to join the community and be a part of the video calls that we are all on, head over to patreon.com/Maude'sBookClub. We've got tiers of support. Give me your tiers of support. Everyone start crying, please, with these tiers of support that I'm after. The glasses are looking good, everyone. All right, so Sevro's gone a little crazy at this point, says Colleen. You're exactly right. I have a feeling that kidnapping your kid would make anyone go a little off the scales, off the edge, and Sevro is kind of actually warring with Virginia as well, because it looks like she's not getting things done, but she's actually got quite a few ducks in a row. Sevro is always punch first, ask questions later, whereas Virginia is collect information and then make their best assessment on that information. Sevro is always a little crazy, says Lise. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But it's interesting that Sevro's sort of almost soft and compassionate side, or the way that he can ground Darrow from going too far, how that's been missed. And Darrow gets in precarious situations, absolutely. So I guess my first question to everyone is, how different does Darrow's journey feel without his howlers and without Sevro? Darren has said that he's way more boring. The chapters are more boring. He's not a thoroughly interesting character. He's the guy who just has to get the job done. And we're finding out the costs that has and the toll that it has. Lisa's saying it's a little boring. Darren says Victor's also pushing Sevro. Victor's kind of like, yeah, cracking the whip a little bit there. Carrie loves to... It's Carrie! I've been saying Carly loves to read. Sorry, Carrie. Carrie loves to read, says he's still my favorite, being Sevro. Everyone says, yeah, he's just a little bit more boring. He's not... I mean, he had a lot more sass and wit when he was at the top of his game, when he was sort of like in the power struggles within the Golds, when he was under Nero, I think. And now, yeah, Colleen, I agree with you completely. He's a little hollowed out. The 10 years of war has absolutely taken a toll on him. Jimmy says Darrow's all business, which can come across as boring. Faden says, I love seeing everyone in glasses. There you go. Yep. Catch, you say you disagree. Tell me how you find Darrow is without the howlers, without Sevro.
I get why everybody thinks he's boring, but to me it was interesting to see him have to go through the same things. Like, he had to go through the same thing on Mercury that he had to go through on Mars and on Venus, except now he doesn't have, apart from he has Orion and Calloway, but he doesn't have, his best friend to fall back on. He doesn't have his wife to fall back on. So now he has to really do all of this on his own. And that to me made it more interesting, just because he's not, I guess, as grounded in this. Like, he's trying to get things done and he has a purpose and he's 100% committed to it. In his mind, his son is important to him, but not as important as saving all of these people that he left behind, because that was the whole point of the Rising in the first place.
Yeah.
So it was just interesting to me to see him kind of have to go through that on his own now.
I agree. And I think that when you kill a lot of people, you have to replace these people. Thanks, Pierce. But sometimes it lessens the substance, I suppose, because we haven't had 4 previous books or even 3 previous books, or like the origin of who Darrow is. He does build allegiances and allies quite quickly. But you know, Calloway was really only in the last 2 books. Orion's really kind of only. Oh, Orion's a bit longer. But like, where's Theodora? She's like not on the ships with him anymore. She's sort of doing more of the political side of things. So, oh yeah, Alexander's stepping up, absolutely, but he's a relatively new character also. So it's, you know, when one dies, someone has to replace. But it's like, I feel like you lose a little bit of Darrow in it as well. City says that he wasn't meant to be a lone wolf. You're exactly right. He's a leader. This guy is a leader, and he needs to lead. And he is at his best when he does have the Howlers, a pack of unwavering, loyal soldiers ready to do his bidding. And ready to do some batshit stuff as well. But like, he's a really good leader of an ensemble. He's kind of like, you know, your George Clooney in the Ocean's 11. But it's like, you need the ensemble for it to be like a fully functioning team and for Darrow to be at his best. KBW says Orion was a very, very background character until now. Yeah, now Orion is like his number 1 almost. And it's just been interesting to see what has happened to Orion. She was kidnapped. She was tortured by Atalantia. And that as well has taken a toll. This is a blue. Blues are supposed to have very limited emotions. And Orion she set herself apart from the other blues because she was way more emotional. She took charge. She had a no fucks given attitude, which always serves in war quite well. And I do think it's quite interesting to see her break and what the impact that has had. Rona's also here. Rona, we didn't really know anything about Rona until she got older, but it's his niece. And there's some nepotism here, but there's also this thing where it's like she's another, not necessarily liability, but someone else he has to protect. And Darrow has to make incredibly hard decisions, and sometimes those decisions sacrifice people. So to have Rona right there, this is going to be very interesting. But blood's thicker than water, big time here. And Rona really is starting to understand Darrow's mind and is making those key decisions to be there, like the second in command, to understand that, you know, if shit goes down, where is the eject button? Like, what are the decisions that she needs to make? Rona and Roan was confusing. Ajax, Atalantia, Atlas, that was all really confusing. I understand that they all need A names, but like, I thought Atlas was the Ash Lord for some of it. Like, I really need a family tree in front of me for that stuff, because I'm getting a little confused. The fact that I got confused wrong was perfect. I think that's very telling with where I am. Sevro is to Darrow what Brad Pitt was to George Clooney in Ocean's 11. Yes, but way more smelly. Way more pungent. Let's be honest here. Some other questions that I have. What message does it show that Darrow is willing to do a high-risk rescue mission to save Orion, a single blue? Like, this is a level of loyalty Darrow has, but he's willing to save numerous lives to rescue Orion. But, I've got to add this in, but he won't go home to help find his kidnapped child. Oh. He was willing to put in the effort for Orion, but he was not willing to put in the effort for his own son. Thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are, you know how, like, a lot of times when people have responsibility and they don't necessarily want to live up to said responsibility, so they pick something else to do? You know, like, for example, oh, I really need to go to the dentist appointment, but you know what? First, I'm going to go food shopping. And then you just fill yourself up with all these things. So I think that Darrow is not emotionally capable of accepting that responsibility. So he's trying to work himself. Yeah. He's trying to work himself up to that part, you know, like over time. Because, you know, anyone could be a father, but it takes someone special to be a great dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying there. K Frito is saying that Darrow trusts his wife. He's basically like Mustang's handling that, like Virginia's on it. Catch22 says he takes the blame for Orion being caught. Yes, I think he would feel a lot more personally responsible for that. Will says false equivalency. I would like to hear more on that. Black Belt says saving Orion is a tactical move in the war, so probably didn't even give it a second thought. That's it. His key players on the chessboard are his pilot, his strategist, his howlers, his A-team. And so if one of those is taken, that's way more the priority. Has also been gone for most of Pax's life, says Clever Girl. Oh, ain't that the truth? Vaden says, also, Orion needed to be saved because the enemy could use her information to destroy the Solar Republic. Pax doesn't have that info. But that little nugget is full of interesting tidbits, isn't he? Pax is quite smart. And we're talking about it in the Fable discussion, that it's like the breakdown of Pax, how he's like 50% Darrow, like 30% Virginia, and then maybe even like 10%. Who else was it? Who did that breakdown? Was that you, Catch? Was it you, KP Dubs?
Yeah, I think it was something, I put something like 50, this is what I hoped he would be. 50% Virginia, 20% Darrow, 20% Pax that died, that is namesake, and then whatever's left, 10% Sevro. Just a little crazy.
Yeah,
mostly
Sevro.
50% Mustang, be the smart, controlled, savvy one.
I will say that that is actually what I think Pierce is. Actually, he's more than 10% Sevro. Yeah, Pax is 11. Pax is 11 years old. Nick says, Pax is definitely not an 11-year-old. He literally knows everything. Will says, if Pax was on Mercury and required for Mercury, Darrow would do the same thing to save him, but it's different. KP Dub says Pax is dialed up to 11. Yeah, and you also see the similarities between Pax and Lysander. Lysander was taught from a very young age by his grandmother, Octavia. And there was just like, failure was not an option. The tests that he was put through, like I think Pax to a lesser degree has got that same sort of intensity. There is huge expectations placed on them to be brilliant, to be a gold, to be diplomatic, to be a warrior, to be all of these things. It's interesting to see Electra, how she's very much the spawn of her parents. She's brash, she's
little
violent, little monster, hatchet face. It's very interesting to sort of see the difference in the dynamics. Vaden says, I believe Pax also grew up with other colors, so he doesn't have the bigotry that Lysander does. Yeah. City says his intellect for his age would be very weird if he was anyone besides Mustang's son. Agree. Catch22 asks the question, am I the only one that doesn't hate Lysander so far? We will get to that when we get to Lysander's. So far, everyone thinks Darrow is a bit boring and the least interesting chapters. I just think that this just feels a lot more desolate. One thing I do want to ask, though, I do find it interesting how Pierce is changing war and combat. We've seen so many different types of combat strategy, dogfights, training simulations. Like, it's just kind of really interesting, all the different combinations. And again, this is book 5, so Pierce has to bring this to another level. Usually it's like a smaller scale, so it's like a combat team on ground assault, or it's like, dogfights taking over a ship. This is, K. Fredo says now it's like the real war. I think we've been in a real war for a little bit now. Are you getting comfy? There you go. That looks, there you go. Planetary war. Yeah, we are on the surface of Mercury now. It feels a little Helldivers, and Helldivers apparently was heavily inspired by Red Rising, which is really cool. I don't know if anyone's played that game yet, but it's planetary scaled war with mech suits, with artilleries, with munitions, as they say. But in this one, finding ancient technology that had purposely been buried, a storm giant that can literally create a gigantic storm that is scaled by levels, and at particular levels can wipe out entire cities. That was really interesting, I think. Some people were saying the first quarter of the book was a lot slower, or was harder to get into, or you didn't like it as much. There's something about that with like these, what was it, like 21 story mech suits. We're bringing new things to combat. We're bringing new things to the game, which I don't know why it excites me, because I like it when fairies smooch. But for this one, it's just like Pacific Rim. It's just like it's Warhammery. It's just a lot of fun. So I would love to get everyone's sort of read on the evolution of how combat is in these books. Did you like it more? Did you like the direction that it went? Were you into a storm giant, or you kind of burnt out by the whole thing? Who's got thoughts? Tim.
I was gonna say, I actually really enjoyed it. So far, like, all of the battles have been kind of hand-to-hand combat and sword fighting with the razors and shooting each other up and whatnot. And then in this book, all of a sudden now war is very real, and it's very attack from a distance with atomic bombs, and call up a giant storm to give yourself a tactical advantage. And there's all of a sudden now there's way more pieces and way more tools, and also the repercussions of using them are very much more real. Whereas before it was, I might get stabbed by my enemy. Now it's, I'm going to have a tactical advantage over my enemies, but I also could potentially kill 10 million people that are innocent of all of this.
And the blood's on his hands
so
for that.
Made it,
this is not an oopsie.
Like, Pierce made it super real.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just Pierce made it super real by kind of expanding the way war was addressed in this book.
Yeah. A lot of comments coming through. I'll read some of them out. City said, I feel like the action scenes, specifically on Mercury, are punched up. Well, no, my feed just went weird. Excuse me. Are punched up on the violence and gore to help highlight how awful this conflict is. Will Post says, I agree. I think it's necessary to grasp the horror. City said, and yet the storm gods were only there because of the loons. Sprinkle says, Darrow does enjoy using the storm giants. Vaden says, I think it makes it more epic. K. Fruto says, I love more tech in this war. KPW says, war has become practical. Vaden says, the Draken Jaegers, that's it. They're 40 meters, so roughly 131 feet tall. Now, Rona, she's a red. She's a full-blooded red. She's like 4'9" or something. Like, she's got to be tiny.
Short stack.
What is what?
Short stack.
Short stack.
Yeah, she's short.
That's what you call
she's real
people?
short.
She's short
Yeah,
stack.
she's short. She's tough. Short stack.
And then Alexander, he'd be like 6'8", 6'10", 7'1". How are they friends? Like, they are literally just, no. What do you mean, Tim?
No, Alexander and Rona are your enemies to lovers trope in this book, except for the fact that Alexander kind of almost dies. But they're your enemies to lovers trope because they're not friends. They bicker all the time.
I like
but there's
that.
underlying tension there. No,
but Rona's like 4'10", and she's driving a 131-foot Jaeger mech. What is it called again?
Draken Jaeger.
Draken Jaeger. Draken Jaeger. That's such a cool name. There it is. She's under 4 feet.
Those are all guesses, by the way. The heights.
Dark Girl says she just looked it up. Rona says that she's 1.2 meters tall, which is just under 4 feet. And Alexander's got to be 2.2 meters tall. There's like a meter difference. This is not like Trisha and my friendship where there is a foot difference, just under a foot difference. She says she's 5'1" on a good day. She's 5. She is 5. Absolutely. I'm not going to give it. I'll give it to her. I've got plenty to give. I'm 5'11". And so when we go in photos together, she's here. Oh, where did she go? Like, so, there's a meter difference. Anyway, I don't even know how. Hopefully it happens off pages because it just science says that doesn't compute. 1.2 meters is about 5 feet. No. And 1.2 is about 5, so she's just under 5 feet. I was 1.2 meters in the 2nd grade. That can't be right. Oh, no, I was like 130 centimeters. Yeah. Wow. 1.2 meters is 4 feet. 30, 60, 90, 120. It's 4 feet.
It's 3 feet 11.2 inches.
That's
Just shy of 4 feet.
That's so small. Yeah, there's a meter difference between those two. Anyway, I'm not going to get hung up on it. Already hung up on it. I'm not going to continue to be bogged down by it. Brait Scott's in the chat. First time chatter says Dark Age was my favorite in the series. We are just talking about the first half of the book, but without spoiling, Brait Scott, why was Dark Age your favorite in the series? Without spoiling the second half of the book at all, because we'll be... Oh, there you go. You saw it as one. Yeah, that makes more sense. It's like Hayden Panettiere and, oh yeah, her ex-husband. I think that marriage ended quite poorly, if I'm not mistaken. But he was a fighter. Like, he was like a sports fighter. Well, that's called something. Yeah, that to me did make sense. There you go. Next question. Is Darrow becoming the person that he hates? He's taking down the bad guys in the war, and he's defined it as having to make the, tough decisions to continue being on the good side. Hey,
Well,
Tyka's underwater.
I would argue that no, he's not becoming worse. That was the whole point of what happened at Taiki. He chose to kill Orion because Orion was basically the Ash Lord at that point. She was saying the exact same words that the Ash Lord had, that this is a rational transaction. It would have won the war, but to do it, Darrow would have had to kill millions, or be responsible for killing millions upon millions of people, possibly billions of civilians. And he wasn't willing to do that, so he killed one of his last and oldest friends in order to prevent that from happening.
Well,
So I think
she disobeyed a direct order at the same time.
She did, and Darrow knew that she might, and that's why he gave her the implant that would kill her.
Yeah.
So he knew that was a possibility. So the responsibility for it is, it's not all on Orion's hands. Darrow knew that this could have happened.
Yeah,
but
and it did. That leads me into my other questions. Orion oversteps and breaks Darrow's promise by taking the Storm Giant to the higher levels, wiping out cities as a rational transaction. Darrow must kill Orion to stop the catastrophes that she's causing. Explain why you think Orion felt justified. Did Darrow make the right call?
I mean, it's pretty much what I was just talking about. If she had actually gone through that, this is the Society's last army. If she had managed to kill everybody, the Republic would win in the end.
Why did he stop Alexander from helping the civilians then? It's kind of his duty to help the people that... No.
Well, in the end, he didn't. At the beginning, he did stop them because he didn't think that it was going to be worth anything. But then, Orion says rational transaction, and Darrow's like, this is his come to Jesus moment. It's like, oh crap, this is what I'm turning into, the Ash Lord. I need to stop this. And the one guy who's the most moral person standing on that hill is begging to go into what is an unholy shitstorm. Yeah. And Darrow didn't want to go, but this is what it meant to be honorable. And so it's like, all right, go ahead, take your knights.
Taiki wasn't obliterating a moon, which is what the Ash Lord did, and justified his actions. The Ash Lord totally did you may fire when ready, like that kind of destruction, planet killer. This one did cause a tsunami to obliterate Taiki. He does seem a lot colder after that, though. Not doing rescue missions, just like consequences be damned, like just kind of going, it is what it is, which I don't know. It seemed a bit.
Well, even after So they were talking about it right after the Day of Red Doves, I think it is, where they're in Heliopolis, and they've got very limited supplies. And Thrax is arguing, we're going to go ahead and keep those for our troops, and we're not going to give them to the civilians, and it's anti-radiation medicine, things like that. And Darrow says, we're going to give it to the people.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, he has come around. He's going to stop being quite the rational transaction leader, and he's going to start becoming the person
More
that he was always
sympathetic.
meant to be. But now he's stuck in Heliopolis, so there's only so much he's going to be able to do. He's trapped. So it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be balancing being that moral leader with the fact that he's under siege.
Blackout says, I agree. He wouldn't have held back the Storm Giants in the first place if he was going full tyrant. And I think the events on Mercury are going to be a wake-up call of sorts for him. I do think that there's a part of him that breaks when he has to kill Orion. His soul sort of shatters a little bit in that moment, and you can see that just had an impact. And I thought it was so well timed with bringing Screwface back, because it wasn't until we got Screwface back and how Screwface talks to Darrow. He understands protocol. He understands where to push him and sees Darrow as the weapon. And it's like, hey, Harnassus, you're treating him like he's a person. He's a god. Like, respect the process kind of thing. But having Screwface away for so long, and then an OG Howler coming back, I felt like I could take a breath again. There was something quite necessary for the reuniting of a Howler, just to kind of have that sense of like original cast member kind of thing, someone that's been there from the start that really gets him. I really loved that moment with Screwface. What did everyone else think about the fact that he's been altered by Mickey to be an undercover agent, essentially, to work with Atalantia's side to hemorrhage information? I kind of thought that was brilliant and unexpected, but the timing was perfect. What did everyone else think about that? Colleen's nodding. Everyone's nodding.
Sure. I'll say it.
Yep.
So, like I just posted, basically Darrow, he trusted Orion, and she broke a promise. So that was one of his big things, trusting people. And so he goes on and off about that, saying he trust people, and then he doesn't trust them. And then this time he trusted her, and she broke it. And then Screwface came at a really good time, because she's like a stand-in for Sevro. Right? Yeah. He's like a stand-in for Sevro. And so, like, without him, he's a bit lost. But, seeing that character come back from his past essentially kind of reminded him of what he's fighting for.
And a lot of people doing commenting as well, saying K Frito says same. I needed that in that moment. Will Poss saying agreed in regards to Screwface. Weirdly comforting that he's back. What I really liked about Screwface, I mean, you have Clown and not Thimble, not
Pebble.
Pebble. Clown and Pebble. They're in love. They've got a family. They have a family. They have a family.
They have 2 kids.
They have 2 kids. Thank you, City. Everyone's kind of like moved on. Screwface always stayed loyal. He did not settle down. He's always kind of been a Howler first and foremost. And I think it's really quite interesting that he has sacrificed who he is in a way. Like, he's given up his physical identity for the cause. And his spirit is not broken at all. He comes back with a smile on his face, a pep in his step almost. And I just think that, we needed to give Screwface a lot more credit, because he can never go back. Well, I guess Mickey can kind of tailor it back again. But we learnt what tinkering on a body feels like, thanks to Darrow's transformation in the first book. This is a huge thing to have to give up. People don't recognize who he is. His previous life has pretty much been wiped away. And he's Screwface by name only now. To have him take on that responsibility and be an agent, I kind of wish we had a little bit more of how he was a prime asset, I suppose. Like what information, what his role in all of this was, how his sacrifice has actually like benefited Darrow. Like I would have loved a little bit more of that, but I think, you know, his main goal is this sense of reprieve. You know, you can actually kind of feel Screwface come in and just take some of that burden a little bit, even from us, the reader, which was really interesting. Lisa saying having him back. Oh yeah.
I was just gonna say I really liked when Screwface showed up and he spoke to Darrow and was like, "Hey, I want to show you something," and Darrow immediately was like, "I shouldn't trust him. Like, this hasn't worked well for me in the past." And he's like, "I trust you," and goes with them. I was like, past Darrow would never have done that.
Yeah, but it's like a Screwface. And I think it's because, you know, he has undergone, like Screwface has gone through a lot. Like his loyalty has just taken to the next level by being this undercover agent. But, you know, Darrow is checking himself, being like, here are 2 other really prime examples when someone has done that and it has backfired on me. Like, if I was smart, I would stop following people when they say, come have a look. And Screwface is like, get fucked, mate. I say come have a look, so you're going to come and have a look. All right? It's me. And it's just like, you know, that camaraderie, that's what a howler stands for. Yeah, so seeing sort of Sevro skip out on his responsibilities because he sort of stopped agreeing with what Darrow was doing and he thought his priorities were out of whack. Seeing Holiday kind of transfer her loyalty over to Virginia. Like, it's interesting where the howlers have been like, they're dissipating a little bit. I swore. Oops. Screwface is one of the OG too, and Darrow still had a moment of doubt, says KP Dubs. Colin says, I thought it was very telling that he didn't completely trust Screwface after the Orion betrayal and Darrow and pulls Darrow out. Yeah. See you, T-Bone. Lovely to have you here. So, yeah, they're kind of like the main Darrow points I wanted to hit. One of the, I mean, it's a bit of an overlay with Virginia, but Darrow's unwavering loyalty to his wife and the trust that she's going to be there for him, even though Virginia's hands are tied a lot of the time. That's what politics are. It's not a tyranny. It's not like, I'll handle it, I can get that done for you. You have to get things signed off. You need approval. You need to do things above board. So the fact that Darrow, even in the first book where he kind of goes against her call, he goes behind her back. He kills one of like the main like Wolfgar. Like he does some shitty things to her in that first book. I was always wondering where those two sit. They have been apart for so long now. I thought that something had to give there. Like if they're not in each other's sort of hemisphere, if they don't have that constant communication. Hey, the Aussie Gamer, thanks so much for the follow. Would that start to break? Would pressure start forming on their relationship? And the answer is no, not at all. In fact, they seem stronger than ever. And the times where they do have correspondence has been absolutely beautiful. I thought that she'd be like, he's abandoned me when my son has been kidnapped. She totally recognizes why he's making the choices that he makes. He totally gets that he has to do this to save millions of people and that it is integral and that they trust each other enough to handle these huge things that are going on in their worlds. I'm actually almost in awe, and am I cynical by thinking that this could be slightly unrealistic? How much they have each other's backs time and time again. I think it's because the problems that they're facing are bigger than them, and so you can't really get butthurt about these sorts of things. Maybe like Virginia completely understands that. Yeah, what does everyone think about sort of how their relationship continues to get stronger, even though they've never been further apart physically? Will
Fucking
says,
love these two.
"Oh yeah, Go City."
I love them. They're the greatest. You know, they may not always be on the same page, but they understand each other better than any two other characters in the story, and they've got each other's back. And I couldn't be more about them.
I actually love that, especially since the first 3 books was Darrow convincing like Virginia that he hasn't technically betrayed her because he isn't really a gold. He really was fighting for her approval. And I don't know, because we had this time skip, we haven't seen them have these beautiful moments of learning about each other and understanding more. It's just a flick of a switch and it's like, yep, they know each other better than anyone. I do love that he has this rock, that he has this constant, that he has this trust, because I feel like Darrow is not only so exhausted physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. This guy is so exhausted. But to have that constant, that's almost like his life force. That's why he keeps going. And I wish he reflected that a little bit more. I mean, I feel like in the first 3 books, Io kept being his grounded point. You know, I'm doing this for Io. She's the reason why I'm on this. Like, he would harp on and on about that. I wish he kind of harped on more and more about how great his wife is to everyone. If I were Darrow, I'd be bragging nonstop. I'd be like, my wife, like the whole time. K. Frito says, I'm envious of their relationship. KP Dub says, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Sprinkles says, I certainly found it interesting how much Mustang puts in so much effort to get total Imperium for support for Darrow.
You were talking a bit there about how Mustang is Darrow's rock, but one of the things I like about it is it's reciprocated. He's her rock as well. Her or him and Pax. You know, she's talking about just before the Day of Red Doves how, you know, if I lost my husband and son, could I keep going?
Yeah.
And or would I turn into the villain of somebody else's story? I think is what the end of that line is. Like, would she be able to be the moral leader that she's trying so hard to be if she lost everybody?
Yeah, I just wish we saw that more on page instead of just being spoken. I would, you know, this is more of like a telling, not showing, and I would like a little bit more show in there. Yeah, KB Dubs.
It's hard to show it when they're on opposite sides of the solar system.
I know, and they get such little communication together. But when we do, when it happens, it's heartwarming. It's really, really lovely. Will Poss was saying the Virginia recorded video hits right in the feels. It's such good writing. Yeah. Okay, so moving on, let's talk Lysander. Lysander is basically, you know, he's spent the last book in the Outer Rim. He's traveling to the Inner Core with Diomedes, who I really respect Diomedes. I really like the guy. He gives Cassius vibes in like terms of trying to do the right thing, trying to be a good person. You know, he defied his mother Dido when like challenging to the duel because he's just like, your ego's in the way here. I really like sort of that. But then Lysander is integrated back again, reacquainted with the they're not Owloons. What are they? The Grimaces. Oh boy.
Grimaces and Votoms. Yeah.
Grimaces and Votoms, and it's just a very lovely reminder how shitty golds can be. It's a very different world, and Lysander's sort of reminded why are we fighting for golds to lead. Like, golds aren't really all they've cracked up to be, but at the same time, he truly believes that Darrow is the bringer of chaos, and what the golds need to be in power because order is the most important thing, and golds provide order, and it's a system that is not broken. It absolutely works, but golds can be pretty shitty. The games that they play mentally and emotionally, the challenges that he got put through as a kid, the ego, the verbal sort of, what's diatribes? I wanted to say diatribes, but I don't know the word. Yes! Ugh! A forceful and bitter verbal attack against someone or something. Fucking perfect word. Maude, you got to back yourself more. You see that in live time there. Diatribes, everyone. Put it in a sentence and use it today. Thank you! Avery says lots of things happen in Lysander's chapters, but Lysander feels like he's kind of just there. Yeah, he's absorbing, he's learning, but that's what Lysander does. The mind's eye. You take things in, you observe, and that is your power that you get. It's a little bit hard when we're in his point of view, though. So he's kind of just existing. Yes, Timbo.
I was just going to say, I like Lysander's chapters.
Oh, you were just doing that.
Like, how much I was. I don't know why. Oh, I was doing that because you got the word right.
You held that up for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, mad respects was earned, so I'll take it. How's me? Like, you're counting the littlest wins there, Maude, but you're celebrating them big.
Take what you can get.
I do.
Not everybody gets wins.
You just got to look for them. Anything can be a win. No, that's not true. There's some pretty shitty things that are not a win. But the attitude is the... Can't even finish it. I can't. I faded out so far. Yep. Tira says, I hope that living in the outer rims opened his eyes on the struggles. The people he's looking to lead, and makes him a better leader figure wherever he lands in. Oh, leader figure, sorry. Oh, sorry, Tiri. I absolutely butchered what you said. I didn't do it justice, but I'm picking up what you're putting down. Colleen says, from his perspective, Lysander wants what's best for society. Yeah. Nick says, I think that this is because he's completely overwhelmed being thrust in this war. He's actually an intellectual and is observing, but I think that he learned a lot surviving Mercury and will take those lessons going forward. Yeah, you know what he learned? His childhood friend Ajax betrayed him. That's not a fun one. He was so friendly. He's like, that fake motherfucker. Like, he lied to my face. He pretended that we were friends. And it turns out he had his knickers in a knot from way back when they were kids, and he felt like Lysander left him behind to win a game. And that, you know, he holds a grudge.
This was right after the storm gods started coming in, and Ajax is kind of losing his shit.
Yeah.
And this was parallel to an event that happened in their childhood. And Lysander was there for him then, and Lysander is there for him during the storm. And then Ajax is like, nah, screw you.
That's it. You're going to be a threat. I'm seeing people swear fealty to you. That's a problem. I'm going to nip this in the bud now. Avery says he's...
Go ahead.
No, you started.
I'm sorry. It's also that, he's pissed because Lysander didn't trust the Grimaces to know, or Octavia really didn't trust Grimaces to know about the storm gods. That was a secret that only the loons knew about.
Yeah. True.
So it's like, okay, these guys are just political, dogs. And it's like, okay, well, now we're all dying because they kept this secret.
Yeah. Got it. That's a really good point. Also, City, please don't apologize. If you want to talk for like 20 minutes straight, like, today is the day to do it. You know?
Yeah, but I don't want to talk over you.
No, it's fine. I was probably stalling. If I start a sentence slowly, it's because I don't know where it's going.
You were saying something about Avery was talking about.
Cool. Avery said he's been betrayed and has lost everyone he's ever cared about, and yet for some reason he still has unwavering faith in the golds. Great point, Avery. And this is what he's sort of learning about himself as well. I really do think he's learned... It's interesting because Octavia is trying to teach him to be a weapon. That's what Lysander's goal was, the mind's eye, trying to get one up on everyone, be the most powerful person. But Cassius has sort of stripped a lot of that back from him. They were nomadic for 10 years. They were traveling and doing kind of like Han Solo scavenger-esque type missions where it's like they wanted to help people, but they had to fly under the radar. So it's just interesting. We're saying what Pax's breakdown is 50% Mustang, 20% Darrow. Lysander is like 20% Octavia, but like 60% cat. No, what do you think it is, Tim? You shook your head at me.
I was shaking my head at something completely unrelated to the book.
Was it a fucking sports score?
Absolutely not.
What game is on?
My KP and I's favorite hockey team is playing for their playoff lives, and they're getting their ass kicked.
Is that why you're shaking your head? Okay. I'll do it. You guys didn't. I'll do it. I swear. That was my 683rd. What's up?
He said baby Pax likes hockey too.
Okay. KB Dubs literally just pulled out the hockey stick. Okay. You seen my katana? That's my sport. That's my sport of choice. The little swords. All right, so back on the discussion about Lysander. Darren says he has this romantic vision of what golds used to be, and his goal is to get back to that. Who does that sound like? Roke. Ooh. Lysander gives a little Roke. The current, why does it do that? The current golds have fallen from grace. And he does believe, he has romanticized the fact that golds can go back to what they were, and it was the best order that was out there. Will Post says, the good thing about having Lysander chapters is that we're given one of the best quotes / moments in book history. We brush away light resistance at the downed storm god. Someone's going to have to explain that to me. I didn't get it. Timbo.
So
City.
Lysander is going on for page after page after page. It's like, oh my god, here they come, here they come. Oh, you can hear the booming. Oh, there's the dust. Oh, there's a howler, and he's chanting the song, and it's like, oh my god, everything is falling and shit. And then Darrow is just talking about the entire thing in one sentence and just moves on. It's just like, oh, okay.
I feel like Lysander would have those moments sometimes as well, though, where it's like he's racing because another storm's coming. He can't make it to the ship, so he turns back and he goes into a Hydra cave. And he's like, ooh, that was scary. I left the cave. And you're like, no, you literally said the Hydra was like just there being like, who's in my cave? And it was very anticlimactic. Like, I wonder if editor just went, nope. We don't need those 3 pages. He gets out. He just gets out, you know? Hydra's scared of the storm as well. Hydra understands on a particular level, not a threat. They're just hiding from a storm. Will Post says, Lysander talks about the brutality of Darrow's assault for the full chapter and how incredible it is. And then Darrow just says that. All right, cool. It was so swift I missed it. Okay, Frito. Yeah, one perspective was 30 pages. Darrow's was 1 sentence. Ben says, I was hoping for a fight against the Hydra, but instead the Hydra had already eaten recently. How convenient. Where was... Yeah? Don't give me a spoiler.
Just regarding the, like, Lysander speaking about, this is really his first taste of battle.
Yes.
It's a big thing for him. He's absorbing it all. He's taking all it. He describes it for 30 pages. This is like battle like 7,413. He's like, oh, we killed some people. Okay, what's next?
Yeah, you're so right. But Lysandra is also Darrow in Red Rising. So like Lysander's living through what Darrow's already gone through. So like they actually have that in common. It's just that Darrow's come out the other side, and you're right, Lysander's still a pixie. He's not a peerless scarred. He's got no scar. He didn't go to the academy. So this is his first taste of it. And it is so daunting. And he doesn't even know if he's very good at it. And the people that he's supposed to be protected by are wanting to kill him as well. So it's like, guy's going through some fairly gnarly shit. His face is all burnt up. His eye is like bulged and funky. He's losing that eye, right? Like that eye's done so, yeah?
Yeah. I think he's got one eye right now.
He's got
it's
one
okay.
eye.
He still has the mind's eye.
Yeah, true. What did we think about the mind's eye? We had a flashback, and I like getting a bit of a flashback with Lysander because, you know, we had a 10-year jump. We need to know who this guy is. And the mind's eye feels like, what's the video game where you can slow things down so that you can aim and fire?
A Bullet Time.
Red Dead Redemption.
There's several.
Yeah, it's that kind of video game schematic is how I'm picturing it, where it's like you slow time down so that you can kind of get a grasp. But apparently this is a technique. It was just what?
Oh, I was saying it's basically Bullet Time.
Yeah, exactly.
Max Payne.
It's giving Sherlock's Mind Palace. There you go. That's another really, really good one. Because that's exactly it. It's like at all times you need to be incredibly observant of your surroundings. Octavia would do things like question Lysander, like, did I say Lysandra once or twice?
Several times. It's okay.
Why?
Because you're working on 2 hours of sleep.
Also called an intrusive A that a lot of British and Australian speakers use.
What? What's
Yeah,
that?
so like a lot, they'll say like Anner instead of Anna, and maybe it's an intrusive R actually.
I'm actually going to go so different, and Lisa, can you help me with this? Throne of Glass, what's her name? The shapeshifter? I can't hear you, Lisa. No, you got no sound. She's literally trying to save me right now. Do I have to look it up? I'll Google it.
Is it
It's Lysandra. That's why I'm saying it. It's
Take that from Nick in the Twitch chat.
Oh, Nick in the Twitch chat did that?
Yep, black belt.
Oh, nice. Lisa said it too, Lysandra. That's why I'm saying it. I knew there had to be a reason. Oh yeah, black belt. There it is. Lysandra's from Throne of Glass. Boom. That's why. Sorry, I'm trying to separate these characters. They're very different. Nothing in common. Anyway, Octave would be like, hey, Lysander, how many birds are in that tree? Tell me right now. And he's like, I don't know. I don't know how many. Well, how many things are over there? And I'm going to make you walk downstairs with a blindfold on, and I'm going to spread some bird seed, and you're going to trip and nearly die. But if you were paying attention, it wouldn't have happened. You're like, oh, cool. That's child abuse. But in the Gold's world, that's an education. Darren says, I didn't like the mind's eye. It felt out of place. What did everyone else think about that? Did
It's not my favorite thing either, but I also don't really care about it that much, honestly.
All right.
You know,
It's like just an
like,
Kowloon sort of family minds. That's the thing. It's like bordering
a
on
meditation stance kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting sort of things like that. We're discovering sort of walnut drugs, and that can open up another particular mind's eye. It's like Jedi training, but mean, says Colleen. That's 100% it. You know, you've got to use the Force. You've got to put the blindfold down and block the ow, that thing. Yeah, it's like not magic. It's like sort of there's a practicality behind it, but guys, I don't want to burst your bubble. I don't think any of us have the power to do what they're doing. Saza. I just don't think that if we paid attention and then shut our eyes, that we would be able to predict numerous variables.
To be fair, we're also not genetically modified.
Not yet.
Not yet, but...
Show of hands, who would do it? What'd you get?
So many things. The the mind's eye though is a bit of plot armor, I think, for Lysander, because apart from the 10 years that he was roaming around the middle of nowhere with Cassius, he really hasn't had any formal training.
Nope.
So realistically, he should have gotten his ass handed to him several times.
Cassius and he did razor training. They did razor training.
Lysander's an accomplished razor master, so he's not been idle these 10 years.
I know, but still, he's surrounded by like whatever how many guys, and he just whips them without breaking a sweat.
He's never killed before.
They're all blind too, so
I think it's plot armor.
I think it's pretty plot armory as well, but I mean it's not the most outlandish thing that we've come across.
I'll be honest, I think the mind's eye was the one thing about Lysander that I didn't like in this book so far.
Okay.
There's been other scenes in books and movies where like a blind person or someone trained in blind sight turns off the lights, puts everyone else on an equal footing. No, they can still track in the dark when no one else can. It's just a different way of doing it. I didn't mind it. I guess I'll be interested to see if it, makes him some super soldier later on. We'll find out, I guess.
Avery's sass has entered the chat. Avery says, definitely the most interesting thing about Lysander. Granted, that doesn't mean much. Wilposs says, yeah, senses get adapted. I think also given previous references in series, it works. I think that Lysander has to have this like special person kind of feeling, like chosen one / he was the next in line of the sovereign, like he was being trained to be a sovereign. The fact that people are swearing fealty to him because of his name. He's trying to, I wrote in the comments here, he's trying to fly under the radar a little bit. He had been doing so for 10 years to stay alive. He had taken up like a misnomer. He had a different identity. He'd kind of like shirked the full responsibility of what his life is supposed to be, just to survive. His name bears a lot of weight with people pledging fealty to him. Will this result in a Lysander / Atalantia showdown? Ajax is already seeing him as a threat and wants to kill him. I feel like Lysander's on borrowed time at the moment because as much as he's trying to dissuade the fact that he was next in line for the throne or sovereignty, that's going to come back to bite him for sure. Any thoughts on that? Will Lysander kill Atalantia? Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
I don't think he has a skill.
What?
I don't think he has a skill for that at all. Maybe one or two books down the line.
There's definitely undercurrents, but it's too early to tell, I think, because we really got very little time with him and the rest of the golds. I mean, he got a little bit of chapter time between, before the battle, and then the battle started, and it's just like, okay, now I'm busy getting my shit stomped by Darrow. So it's, maybe somewhere down the line we can get a little bit more on that, but at the time being, I think that's definitely coming. But
I feel like this is season 3 of Game of Thrones for some reason, like next in line for the throne, like the Starks were doing really well, and then all of a sudden they were on the run. Like it has that feeling to me a little bit. He needs to do some more grinding, says KP Dubs. Look, you're not wrong. Okay. Next questions that I've got here. Apollonius has been stalking Lysander and is trying to recruit him against his contradicting cause. How do you think this will play out? How did you find this? Apollonius has just been hanging back and stalking from afar in a giant desert where a storm giant rolled through not once but twice, and he's just doing a little 50 feet stalkeroo creeper. Like, that to me was a very unrealistic thing, especially when he's like a voice in the darkness as well. Like, it has this very sort of like spiritual entity of like, something slinking in the shadows.
I agree with Vaden. It didn't really make a lot of sense, but even Lysander isn't entirely sure that it's real.
Where did we leave Apollonius?
He was on Venus, yeah.
Yeah, he was on Venus, and then he just shows up on Mercury. Like, nothing can go wrong here.
There's a couple of like really good timing things as well. Like, Darrow was about to. I mean, I feel like war brings out the worst in people, but he's always managed to sidestep the worst of it. I think, he lost. No, that was Cassius. He lost an arm. He's always sort of been pretty left clean in terms of like the horrible parts of war. There was a really tough moment, like where he's been captured by Obsidians and he's waiting to sort of be molested at this stage. And I feel like this was the Darrow's first taste of like, he was a god. He is a god. He's the guy who's untouchable. And he's about to be like physically bested and belittled. And there is a lot of shame around this. But he gets rescued just in time. And I feel like there are people sort of moving on this giant board of a globe, of a solar system, that are, I mean, I get well-timed rescues. It's very much a trope that we get. But Apollonius, I don't think makes sense. And sometimes I'm just like not aware of like, well, how did you know about that? How did you get there? How did you know to be there at that time? Also, like, a bit of a red flag. I know that Screwface and Ronan know Darrow best, but this guy's like on the edge of being broken. He's been up for something like 4 days straight. Has not slept. And they're like, no, he's just got one more thing to do. Chuck a stim pack in, have a little adrenaline boost, and get back out there. I don't know. I'm like, let the guy sleep. He's still human. Like, you're going to exhaust him to the point of what happened with Orion, really. You can only take so much. Avery said, yeah, he was getting all metaphysical with the mind's eye, and then I'm supposed to believe he wasn't seeing ghosts. Yeah, if he's literally been taught to observe his entire life, he doesn't know that a guy called the Minotaur has been following him. Okay. Pierce, I might have to have a conversation about that to you. We might have to bring that up and be like, hey, bud, how did that come about? How did you make that make sense? See him explain his way out of that one. Nick said, well, why would he see Apollonius? That's a random guy he never brought up before. Yeah. And how does he know who he is? Colleen says if it weren't for the uncanny rescues, the book would have ended by now. For sure. Yeah, it'd be a really quick book. Kiwi doves. You can say that one. You can say that one. No? It's a good one.
Is there one Minotaur and gone the next?
Yeah. Oh, Zelda's gone. Zelda, why do you leave me? I will not bribe her back here. Yes, pun point. How do you do that again? You nominate it? I should know this. Pun point.
I refuse to give that pun points.
Pun points, plural?
Also, it's not completely unbelievable that Lysander has never heard of Apollonius, because I'm sure even while running around with Cassius, they got the news. So they should have probably known what was going on in the rest of the solar system. So I'm sure he's heard of Apollo. He's probably never met him, but I'm sure he knows who he is.
He would know every person from every house in the gold upper echelon. Yeah.
There's just no way he doesn't.
Well, remember how he worshipped Darrow as well? Like, he was a kid who had Darrow on a pedestal because he was tracking the academy. Oh, what about that time where you fought Jupiter? Oh my gosh, I'm such a big fan. Like, thank you. Maybe we don't have them anymore. Oh, that was a bit of a wet cough. Told you, one bad night's sleep, I'm done for. Lysander knows everything, so of course he would know who the Minotaur is. Yes, you're right. That I believe. It's just how Apollonius got there that I'm like, what's his goal? Apollonius is trying to recruit Lysander to help Darrow. Is that right? What's the point? What is happening there? I'm sure we'll learn more soon.
I think Apollonius is trying to recruit Lysander to take down Atalantia.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's a rivalry there.
Right.
Which does help Darrow, but not really, because as soon as Apollonius rises to power there, he'll just turn and go at Darrow. So it's, I mean, it's cutting off the head of one and another one grows in its place anyways.
Yeah, two grow back. Oh my God, sorry. What is Apollonius's goal? All he wanted was Venus. I know, now he's on Mercury. I don't get it. I need his motivations. And like this...
He wants revenge. He was set up by the Ash Lord in the between time. So the reason he's in Deep Grave in the first place is because he was set up by Atalantia and the Ash Lord because he was getting too much power in the Society Remnant.
Thank you,
so
City.
He goes in for an assault. It's a trap because the Republic knows he's coming, so he ends up in jail. And now he sets fire to the Ash Lord at the end of Iron Gold because that's him getting revenge. And now he's on Mercury because he wants to keep it going. And Lysander is a natural rival to Atalantia.
Yeah, got it. So he's trying to say, you need to reclaim your throne and dethrone them. Got it. Hey, let's talk about Virginia. We see the Politico issues that she's been facing. We get an update on Pax, which is good. She's trying to find out who the syndicate is. They've got the Duke of Hands. They've captured him. Bit of subtle torture happening. Avery said, I actually loved getting her point of view. The book kicks off with Mustang delivering a speech by swallowing a thesaurus and spewing it back out, which it's Mustang. She's brilliant. She's very, very smart. There is a lot going behind the scenes. The Vox Populi, or the first book being Iron Gold, first book of this, you know what I'm trying to say. Dancer has been delegated as the head of the Vox Populi, and they both want the same thing, but they want to go about it in very, very different ways. And neither can convince the other to sort of side with it. Virginia, and I think very much Darrow, suspects that Atalantia has sort of been manipulating the situation for the Vox Populi to not vote in favor of Virginia because they want to disrupt the democracy. So if you do that, it forms more chaos. It destabilizes everything that's going on. We are getting more OG Virginia back. It is so lovely when she puts her boots up on a table, grabs a dagger, and eats an apple. Like, that is when we know that Mustang has taken the wheel. And it is truly a lot of fun. Tim, you are now head over heels in love with Mustang. is what I believed I got from your notes in Fable.
100%.
She's a good one. Yeah, sass mode activated when she's got her apple. She's still surrounded. She's great. She's still surrounded by the Telemanuses. Their loyalty is fantastic. R.I.P. So that's so tough. She also knows that Sephi has been harboring a lot of helium and suspects that Sephi's kind of going to be doing her own sort of revolt. And so she's got tabs on a lot of things that are happening. She's in the know. But Publius, a copper lawyer, isn't he? Isn't he like a defense attorney?
He was a public defender, yeah.
Public defender, yeah. Has been flying under this radar, and the syndicate has got her pesky little hands in Publius to try and overthrow Virginia as sovereign. Now, I'm telling you, this is the red wedding of the book for sure. She had a win beforehand. She got Dancer on her side. Dancer and the Duke of Hands getting intimate was something I did not see coming, but that's I was going to say something super inappropriate, but I'm too slow today to get there. Because, like, usually I say it and then my brain goes, oh, I wouldn't say that if I were you. And I've already done it. It's already happened. What now? But in this one, I went to say it and I was like, don't. And I was like, sounds good, Maude. Whew. But you could probably, if you play it back, know exactly where this dirty mind went. Anyway, she had a win. She got information from the Duke of Hands. The method of torture, again, we're introducing new technology, which ups the stakes big time here. What are they called? The psych sticks?
Psycho spikes.
Psycho spikes. Where he has relived this moment and doesn't even know it. So they have questioned him time and time again, tortured him, got the information out of him, and they've played the scenario so many times that Mustang now knows exactly what he's going to say. And that is when you are having a conversation and they tell you what you were going to say before you've said it. What a mind fuck. But what a very interesting method to that madness, which she built as a way to decompress at the end of a long day. Also, the golds made Reds homophobic. Why? Great question indeed. Why? Why is there such disgrace to that? Is it because, actually, no, I think this actually makes sense. So they would breed more. They're a slave race. Exactly. They need to populate as quickly as possible. Their lifespan's 40 on a good day. Yeah, they need to breed and work. Yeah. They manipulated their culture within an inch of their lives. Yeah. Deja vu torture, as Thierry's called it. Mm-hmm. Dangerous technology. It is. I was saying, what is it about this type of torture that works so well? Because we have seen, Darrow's been tortured. We've seen many methods of torture in here. The Jackal was very fond of torture. What is it about, like, Mustang's dancing with torture here? Like, she's playing hardball. But what is it about this method of torture that kind of stays within a Mustang sanction? You don't feel like she's overstepped for some weird reason? Why is that? Anyone?
I would argue that she is overstepping. I think that the whole point of her arc in these chapters is that the moral person that we've known for the past, 3 and 4 books is starting to fray a little bit. She's on her own just like Darrow is. She's got a very similar situation to him where she doesn't have her pack, not in the way that she's used to. So she's starting to fray a little bit. She's starting to do things like punch phones or blow up statues or torture a, guy to an image in his life, even though she didn't have to. By the part that we're actually covering, she already has all the information. She's doing it to kill time.
And it was Octavia's tech? Oh.
Yeah.
Mustang did approve of torture in the past as well. It seems to be her blind spot morally. She's also running out of time. The vote is happening, and she needs the information. There's just not enough time to kind of play a long game here. Will Post says, I think it's more of a reminder that she too went through the Institute and killed someone in the passage. Absolutely. Yeah. she's a peerless guard.
Maybe I missed something. If somebody else saw something else in these chapters, like, what was the actual torture? Because it seems to me that the Mind Spike just pulls memories out. She knew all the information. So was the torture just questioning him without him knowing she already knew all the answers? Or was there some sort of painful thing that this spike did to rip the knowledge out of them? I think she was
The
messing with
invasion
them.
of
privacy.
Yeah, I don't think it's particularly covered. I mean, as far as I can tell, it's not particularly painful. But the fact that she's basically reciting all of his words and she's basically making him like existential crisis of how does she know what I'm going to say?
She's
That's
breaking
the
him
torture.
down mentally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she completely wipes his memory and creates a whole new person.
It does it again. Yeah. And that's the scary part. That's the really scary part.
Incredibly questionable tactics.
Yeah, re-upload a personality. You don't have that anymore. You don't have your previous life. You don't have your memories. Yeah, it's very much a control. Like, it's methods of control. Controlling him, controlling his memories, controlling his mind. This coup that happens, though, we didn't know that it was going to be Publius. But he was brought up too many times for him to not be a centric person in this unfolding, I don't think. But I guess what was the most shocking part? We're calling it chapter 31 because this is where it all goes down. Going into this, Virginia feels confident. She's got Dancer's vote. Publius is always defecting, defecting, questioning. Oh no, you go first. And then Dancer's in the middle of his speech, clears his throat a few too many times, coughs blood, dies. The rest of the Vox Populi die. Other senators start dying. They've been poisoned. Hold on, how did they get poisoned again?
Doesn't say. They don't say.
I think didn't this say something about gas?
Well, no, Virginia did a check.
Gas, but it never triggered the
she checked for. She checked for chemicals. She checked for fumes. Nothing was reading on her equipment.
Clear on how they got poisoned.
Atalantia actually tells Darrow, I believe, that even I couldn't have poisoned that many togas.
Okay.
I believe, during their conversation. It's in chapter 33.
Through the toga.
Yeah, they were poisoned, but they don't say how.
No, Darren, you said through the toga. What do you mean by that?
Well, it was the same comment that City mentioned about Atalantia, but it was, I think Atalantia was talking about how she was working on Luna via a subcontractor, which we know now is Lilith. And so it sounded like Lilith somehow managed to poison the togas, which went into certain people's hands.
Did Lilith just have by touching it to poison in the Institute?
She had an affinity for riding around with bones sewn into her hair and stuff.
Got it.
I think it's about the end of her characterization.
Yeah, but she was with the Jackal, wasn't she? Like
she was the Jackal's right hand.
She was at last jailed. Did she escape? What was her?
The very last grave. No, the very last that we knew of her was at the end of Morning Star. She was Jackal's insurance plan. She was the one who was actually setting off the bombs that were blowing up Luna.
Got it. That's it.
Jackal's talking to her, and she's like, "Okay, set off this bomb here and here." She was on that ship, and it got shot down. And so, where's she been the past 10 years?
Yeah.
And it turns out she's been ruling the syndicate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That got spoiled for me, by the way, guys, when I was doing research for Iron Gold. It was like, oh, Lilith is the Queen Syndicate. I was like, cool. I got something else spoiled for me, by the way. I put up a video on TikTok about Golden Sun, Morning Star, and someone spoiled something in Lightbringer. I was like, delete comment.
Ooh, what a dick.
So I'm going to keep that one to myself, you want to hope. Because it's like a triple spoiler. This one sentence spoiled 3 main things. Anyway, what was the most shocking part about the coup? Was it Dancer/Daxo dying? Was it Virginia being brutalized by a mob? Was it the unveiling of Lilith as the queen of the syndicate? What was the part about that was the most?
It was the thing that wasn't even talked about.
What was that?
That hit me the hardest. Is before that.
Oh, that's right. You said this in Fable.
Virginia makes a comment about seeing Liam, who's Lyria's cousin or something, And he's looking around awestruck because she made sure that he got his sight back as kind of a thank you to Lyria for the things that she did. And then I thought about it later and I was like, holy fuck, Liam was there when all of that went down as this poor, like, 6-year-old. So literally one of the first and the last things he ever saw was that.
Oh, Liam.
That crushed me. Crushed me.
Will Poss says all of the Daxo moments. I mean, it makes sense that Daxo would use his.
And he's trying so hard to get her out.
Oh,
he's trying so hard to get her out. He doesn't care about living himself. He just wants to get Mustang out.
That's a Hodor moment. You know. Trying to. Ugh. But yeah, I think hearing first person in present tense, all the things going down for her, like, I spat out some of my teeth. I'm repeatedly stabbed, repeatedly kicked, ripping her clothes off her. Like, that is just, like, the disrespect of this mob mentality. I was just like, who are you? This is so gross. No body, though. We got a rule around here with Pierce's writing. We need to see a body. Cassius, no body.
Yep. The very last thing that we hear about it is that Darrow is seeing the recording saying they bear his dying wife away, but dying is not the same thing as dead.
Mostly dead. Yeah, it's not completely dead. Nobody didn't happen. Cassius is the only one who's really dead. KP Dubs, I swear to God. You were talking about that all through Fable as well. You're like, nah, he's gone. Cassius is dead. Over my dead body.
Eo's dead too, right? We've established that Eo is actually dead.
Well, now I believe it. But that first book, I was holding out hope. I thought that Eo was Mustang,
Cassius?
and I was like...
Cassius is not in the dramatis persona. Everyone else is, even dead characters. He is not.
DED dead.
He is gone.
That means he's not going to show up in this book. He'll probably show up in the next book then, clearly.
Lisa says, my sister laughed at me when I was listening to this part because I kept gasping. Oh my God, you're not wrong. And it was like every sentence. You're like, it was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah, I don't think I could pick out any one part of that was the worst. It was just, oh, fuck.
Horrible.
Yeah.
The entire way through.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you, Lise.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I gasped and just had my hand over my mouth and my eyes wide, and my sister walked outside to let the dog out and comes back in like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
No, I'm not. A lot of shit's happening.
Oh, that was.
It was just nonstop. I had to stop reading listening after that chapter last night. I was like, I can't go on right now.
Kat
I need
said
a break.
the same thing. Took a 2-hour break from reading from that one. No, I wanted to read more because I just wanted to move past it as fast as possible, instead of sitting on that. I'm like, next chapter. And introducing Ephraim, the comedic relief. His tone is so different to the rest of the characters. He's barely wanting to be alive on a good day. He's only just trying to save Lyria and Volga. He's just run out of fucks, this guy. So he's now been recruited by Sephi. Sephi sees that he's got incredible skill set because he was able to kidnap Pax and Electra not once but twice. So they're like, you're someone that we need on our team. And he has been recruited to train this new line of obsidians called the Scuggy. Scuggy. Teach me how to Scuggy. Teach me. Anyone else? No?
Scoogy.
Scoogy.
Teach me. Let me have my joke. Okay, fine. They're the Scoogy. Do they have omelettes? Is there an omelette over the U? No, it's Scuggy. Scoogy. Omelette. Omelette? Like an egg omelette?
I thought it was Scuggy.
Are there 2 U's? No, there's one.
No, there's one.
No, there's one of you.
2 G's.
Yeah. All right, we can go with Scuggy.
No,
I read
The book pronounces it Scoogy,
We're
but
going to the source. 1 second, everyone.
That's silly. Is it pronounced?
Hi, Pierce. Is it pronounced Scoogy or Scuggy? Scoogy or Scuggy? Thank you. Let's find out. What I like about these chapters, though, is learning why Ephraim's the way that he is. We knew in Iron Gold, he was sort of like, he ran out of fucks because his fiancée had died. He's turned to a life of crime. He does not care about himself at all. But it's just interesting to learn little tidbits about him. Like, he did not like being a grey. He felt less than. And so his insecurity was the fact that he was a grey. So he wanted to gamble and win all this money. He wanted to try and be and rub shoulders with the wealth of the golds. He wanted to be respected in that particular way. I kind of liked the fact that there was a lot more depth to him in this particular book. He is always a lot funnier because he just does not care. But I did think, his notifications are silenced. He's probably writing. I feel a little bit like Ephraim is the circle that was crammed into a square in terms of being recruited to train the Scoogie. Now, there was a really great conversation about this in the Fable. Now, if you're not on Fable, you can do chapter breakdowns and comment per chapter with the community. We've got over 700 members in there. Just look up Fable on an app. It's free. Join Maude's book club. Join Maude's bonus book club if you want to read Artemis and have like a way in these chapters as well. It just felt a little odd that Ephraim is the best choice to train these elite warrior obsidians. But the conversation that happened in Fable, which I thought was really interesting, and I think it was either Vaden, Catch, City, or KP. You're the main contributors to that. Obsidians and the culture of obsidians are very Norse. It's very Nordic in the sense that it's like they're trained warriors. It's about war, and they don't really have sort of that social EQ understanding of manipulation, of subterfuge, of cunning as well. So for Ephraim to be the perfect person to kind of teach them all of these things, like how to win a game of, what's it called?
Karachi.
It's basically poker as far as I can tell.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was as well. But it's like, what is Sephi planning for these obsidians to need to know how to win a game of Karachi? So like, that's not fully fleshed out for me yet, but we never really saw whites before, but we have a shaman here. And this is a really interesting character who we learn when the mask does come off in the later chapters, the first half of the book, that he just wants to survive as well. He recognized that he just had to tell, he's sort of been manipulating behind the scenes of like the arrangement of Sephi's group. And maybe City, you can help me a bit better because my mind's going a little bit fudge. But he said a queen just wants to hear, she wants to hear what she wants to hear. And then I started to tell her what she needed to hear. And now I've been able to kind of like map the path a little bit better. This shaman, the walnuts, the magical walnuts that aren't walnuts at all, but it's a particular berry, Osgard, thank you. It's a particular berry that gives it's hallucinogenic drugs. And after the Poppy War, hey, we know all about that. We get it. But it's just interesting here to see Ephraim trip balls. This guy was tripping absolute balls and is seeing things in a way that only the shaman's kind of been able to comprehend before. But like, he's on a mission and like, he's tripping balls. And that was a really, really funny chapter. And it was like, again, as a reader, what I needed after some really heavy moments previously. What I took away from it, though, is that it's Osgard said that Ephraim's fate is tied to Sephi. And it is foreseen that Ephraim will be the one who leads basically Sephi's faction. He's going to be in charge. And we're learning about fate's tide at the moment. And Ephraim's he's really starting to click in with his clan. He's understanding that Sephi's, what is it? What's a bonking partner called?
Friends with benefits?
Concubine?
Concubine. Yeah.
Consort.
Yeah. Yep. Great word as well. So basically, he's going behind Sephi's back and is in love with Freyhild, who doesn't want to dethrone Sephi at all. She just wants to be in love. But we're also understanding that Sephi is kind of like not in the same prowess that she used to be. She was supposed to take down the Drake and couldn't. She couldn't fire an arrow. There's a lot going on with this particular part. What did everyone gain from Ephraim the most? Like, what did you gain out of these chapters? What do you think's happening with Sephi? What do you predict's going to happen in the second half of the book? What did you like about it?
I'm going to go ahead and just completely divert away from the Obsidians. I liked Ephraim's perspective on Pax, actually.
Okay. Oh, yeah, he's with Pax and Electra.
Yeah, Pax and Electra are there too, but Pax is the real focus that I'm really trying to get at here, is that, you know, we leave Pax in Iron Gold, and he low-key hates his father for leaving him.
Mm-hmm.
But here he comes in the first chapter of Dark Age, and Pax is calling the Obsidians out for abandoning Darrow. He's starting to understand that Darrow is doing what needs to be done, and he's calling people out who are not doing that as well. And I mean, it's, you know, further on from that, it's, you know, they're getting kind of friendly when the Karachi game, Pax is the one who actually kind of low-key suggests that they do Karachi as a way of teaching the Obsidians. And, you know, then there's, right after Pax learns about, you know, Mustang's death, you know, let's have a real conversation here. I'm going to give you your first cigarette, even though you're 11.
Yeah, burner as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ephraim's not a good role model at all.
No.
And like, you know,
and I think Pax sees that, but Pax loves him anyway.
Yeah, well, Pax also recognizes that Ephraim's an addict, like a full-blown addict, and so like that's an interesting power struggle between those two. You're right, Pax. I think he's really starting to learn and to understand. He's becoming a man. I truly believe. He also provided a little bit of insight because, you know, he has all of these stories. Oh, I've learned all of this, and he's learned about this other sect of Obsidians. Is that who we stumble across in the last chapter, chapter 45, where we stop things here? Ephraim is in a cave of giants, and they are a type of obsidian, and they kill Freyhild. Was it Nick just said that was a bit of a waste of a character? Like, he just built up. There it is. I feel like Freyhild dying was a waste. They spent all that time building up this love triangle, and she just dies. What did we think about this particular chapter? Do we know what's going on here? Apparently they were like overhearing the conversation between Ephraim and Osgard, and
it's the Askamani.
It is the
Yeah,
Askamani, and that's what Pax was talking about. Yeah.
Right.
Now-
so he was talking about this nightmare horror story from beyond the rim, out in the Kuiper Belt, like way out, you know, in the far reaches of the solar system that takes years to even get to. And lo and behold, they're here. And Freyhild, who is like the promising future of the All Tribe, has just had her heart eaten by Volsung Fa, who's the scary new kid in town, and he's like, he's not some story, he's here.
Why?
I feel like it was a hat death, but I get it.
KP Dubs makes a really great point. Fun parallel. Pax is now about the same age that Lysander was when he watched them kill his grandmother. Very formative years. So Sephi's probably not going to be able... I think he said he was going to challenge Sephi and likely win. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen there.
Freyhild wasn't going to challenge Sephi. Freyhild was going to...
She wasn't going to, but I think this guy...
Volsung Fa.
Yeah, he's going to challenge. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to challenge her. I think he's going to just move against the entire group. I think I haven't read anymore, but I would guess he might be sponsored by like the Syndicate, like Lilith or something, to try to like be the really evil Obsidian faction that gets power.
I mean, we heard horror stories. We've seen horror stories. Like a lot of the Obsidians were cannibals. It's just like interesting why they're being brought in now. It's, I don't know. Deviating from like the main story of like Virginia and Darrow.
They're just
Atlas went after him and failed. Yeah.
Like because
what's that, Eric?
there needs to be a main antagonist for her. Sephi's all tribe plan because it's not really antagonistic to Darrow, because effectively Mustang revealed that she encouraged them. Yeah, I view them sort of like like the Jews in Israel, right? She was like, they need their own land, they've been oppressed, so I'll secretly let them get their own land, right? Because she basically revealed she knew what they were doing, basically encouraged them to do it without overtly saying it. So the Republic's not a real antagonist, because Mustang supported them. So they need a real antagonist.
Got it.
Or at the very least, Mustang had a way of turning the fact that the Volk were rebelling into an advantage for her.
Yeah, Mustang was turning it into a net positive.
And also putting Quicksilver down, who's being kind of a tool right now.
I think Quicksilver was making a play for the throne, financially anyways.
He's up to something, that's for sure.
Darren says, "Rise, Quicksilver's army of robots." That was like the one thing that Nero was most afraid of, was the robots. It's like, you know, they're the things you have to fear the most. So, I mean, we're seeing different tech. That would be interesting, I think. So that's all of Ephraim's chapters. And then we have one of Lyria. Was one enough?
Yes. For what they gave us, we didn't need any more.
What was the point of just one? I would have rather none.
I think that the first quarter of the book was entirely Lysander and Darrow. The second quarter was pretty much entirely Ephraim and Virginia. And I think that we've got room to cook. We've got another, 400 pages, 45 chapters, 47 chapters to go.
Yeah.
So, the court's wide open.
A reminder that she exists.
I think it was the warm-up act.
True. Okay. Yep. Okay. In saying that, we are going to reconvene with this particular book on the 25th of April in 2 weeks' time today. Next week on the 18th, we're going to be doing Artemis, a much shorter book. It's only 18 chapters. If you're listening to it, Rosario Dawson narrates it. It is Andy Weir. On the 19th at 11 a.m., Q&A with Andy Weir. Thanks to Pierce, I managed to get connected to Andy. He's actually not doing interviews anymore, like for the next foreseeable future, but he's making an exception for me. So if you're a member, you can get your questions in on a question document. Andy is an author of not only Artemis, but also 2 other books that we've covered for book club, The Martian and our favorite book, I think the most successful or best received book we've ever done, which is Project Hail Mary. So I'm getting to interview Andy about that. We'll be talking about all 3 of those books. Obviously, I want to spend more time on Project Hail Mary because it's so good. No, KP Dubs, get out. Take a lap. Take a lap. We are not going to take it. We are not going to take it. That's what he wants us to play for his opener. His anthem. That wasn't me. That was Catch. It was Catch. The 25th, we are going to be talking about Dark Age. And then 1 week after that, May 2nd, Thursday, 5 p.m., Q&A with Pierce Brown for Dark Age exclusively. Full spoilers for the book. It's going to be May. Exactly. Thank you. So that's going to be happening. So we basically have something on the 18th, 25th, and 2nd. So the next 3 weeks straight. And we've got a bonus Q&A on the 19th of April at 11 a.m. PT. Set your alert for that one. It's going to be amazing. Thank you, City. Exactly. And you've got a week to finish Artemis, the entire book. For those that have started, spoiler-free thoughts?
Good.
Disco Cobra coming in hot. 10 gifted subs.
I mean, I've been pushing this book for 4 years.
You have been. It has been 4 years that you've been pushing this book, and we're finally doing it, Terry. And that's on loyalty. Stick around. We'll do the book. Wait patiently. We'll do the book.
Very patiently.
Super patiently. So I'd read it for Terry. Long story short, what is going on now? Oh, they're Disco Cobras. That's popping up still. Avery says, I'm excited to take a break from Dark Age. Yeah, and then you're going to have to jump straight back into it. Did we sort out, I think May, we're starting The Way of the King? The Way of Kings?
Yeah.
I've got it somewhere. Big book.
Pretty sure May is the first half of Way of Kings.
Yeah, look how big it is. I mean, Dark Age is nearly 8
pages.
Like, Look at the size.
Yeah, Way of Kings is like a 1,000-page book, isn't it?
My
Yeah.
paperback copy is 1,250 some pages.
Yeah, it's literally 1,000 pages. I think I've done this before. It's like literally 1,001 pages. It is widely regarded as one of the best fantasy books of all time. This is a book I've been reading for about 7 years. So we're going to dive in together. But to do this whole book in 1 month, bit of a task. So what we're actually going to do, we're going to split it up over 2 months, and we're going to do bonus books. Now, did we lock in May's bonus book? Because I think I wanted to do Rebecca Ross's follow-up of Divine Rivals. Because I like
That's the one we talked about for May, yeah.
That's what I'd like to do. Because I reached out to Rebecca Ross for a Q&A, and she couldn't do March. And so April or May was put forth, and I think I said, let's do May. So we could do a Q&A with Rebecca Ross as well. She's been doing Ruthless Cows. They will get you, those ruthless cows. Vows. I want to read Ruthless Cows so bad now, though. What a book. Tiri's already finished Ruthless Vows. I mean, you were patient for 4 years while we did your book suggestion, but you are not patient anywhere else. I will say that, okay? X-Man says, I need to get on the ball with my reading as well. They're the books ahead of time. We'll give you enough notice so you can either purchase them or borrow them from a library if you want to read it physically, or if you want to listen to it as well. City says, honestly, my thought was to do Way of Kings over May and the first half of June, and then have 2 bonus books in June. Oh, you know what? I think when we've done books back to back, we did June for 6 weeks straight. And it can be a bit of a slog. Thank you, Disco Cobra. Just curious if you've got any gaming streams planned for the future, any games whatsoever, lol. I am going to try and do more gaming streams. I'm going to try, we're doing book clubs on Thursday now. So Fridays, in the afternoons, or Wednesday afternoons. But I think Friday afternoons, I'm going to try and do some more gaming streams. I just have to find a game that I like. Chef Squad. Hi, me. I think we need to do Chef Squad just as a warm-up every single stream. Just to play a couple of rounds. I yell at everyone. It's a good time. It's not Ruthless Bowels. That's true. At least it's not Ruthless Bowels. That is called Akatar. Oh boy. Yeah, so you've got the slate of books. I think we're going to split it up over 6 weeks, but then have books in between as a buffer. I know some people don't like splitting up books. Other people are happy to read 5 books at any one time. We will try to be as accommodating as possible. But yeah, happy reading. Let's go raid. 7 minutes over as well. Whoa.
That's actually pretty good for you these days.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I go hella over. Wow, Luscious Lou's got 49 people watching. Let's raid Luscious Lou. Lou used to be a big part of our community. But he kind of backed off so he could become a streamer full time. So let's wish him all the best. Tell him he was big when Geek Bomb was a thing. I don't think he's much of a reader, which, I get it. It's not for everyone. But when we go to Lou, make sure you say hi from the community. He'll recognize some of the names. When are you on the red carpet next? Red carpet as in read. That's very clever. I'm going to yell at you in the after show for that one, though. Okay. Let's raid. Boom. Wow, Luscious Lou's got 49 I hit a people wall. watching. Let's raid Luscious Lou. Oh, he's got his face in it now. I wonder if he's getting